Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, and welcome to a sporty episode of the Good Leader Podcast, brought to you by the terrific trio of Lim, Anj, and Murr. We're here. Jess Treat is taking her vacation. She is in Miami.
She is.
Beautiful Miami, Florida. South Beach, bringing the heat. She's down there getting jiggy with it with Will Smith. So I hope she's having a great time. And she shared a great stat on LinkedIn. Anj, did you hear the stat? Did you see the stat that she shared about, I can't remember who it was from. No. I need to look this up. It was for every 10 hours of vacation that you take, your productivity goes up.
Okay. I've heard of this, but I didn't.
Okay, I got it. An international study by Ernst & Young found that for every additional 10 hours of vacation time employees took, their year-end performance ratings improved by 8%. That's from an article by Ernst & Young called The Business Case for Taking Vacation.
Cool.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Hey, I'm a huge advocate for vacation, just on mental wellness and personal health and family time and all those things. But heck, there's a case to be made on the Good Leader Podcast for it'll actually help your productivity and ratings and Gallup scores and all those types of things. So good job, Jess. Way to lead the way. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Hopefully she doesn't regret whatever tattoo she comes back with.
Wow.
That's my prayer for Jess.
Come on.
You know, whatever it is.
You never regret them.
Really? Never? You never regret that?
Well, it's not been my story.
Well, no.
Wow.
Lim, how many tats you sporting over there?
Big fat 0.
Lim, if you had to get a tattoo,
okay,
like you got to, what would you go for?
Oh, man. I've got some funny ideas, but I don't think I would do it. You know, like a joke on one foot, the bottom, punchline on the other.
Wow.
That's kind of lame.
Wow.
But it's kind of silly.
Wow.
I don't know. It would have to be something meaningful, but I've never come across something meaningful that I'm like, I want that on my body. You know?
Okay.
Something for linen.
That's true. I could do that.
I like to think that's meaningful. Yeah.
Meaningful. Yeah, big L on your forehead.
Yeah. Barbed wire.
Half of mine are for my kids. It's not even, it's nothing deeper than
For
that.
real, I would do.
Did John ever get a tattoo?
John has more than I do.
No.
You just can't see him.
Does you have a John tattoo?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. A tattoo in honor of John.
I do. Does he have one for me? Is that what you're asking?
No, but I didn't know this. This was good. Well, because for a long time, didn't you got your boys' tattoos first, right?
Yeah.
And then you're
I got
oh,
them all together.
Hey, John, maybe I should add you on this list.
No, I've been thinking about him from the beginning. I got them all together.
Sorry, my bad.
John, the boys.
I was misunderstanding
Yeah, well, it's even more of the point.
That is. Well, he doesn't have any,
no.
But he's a multiple tattoo guy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but to be fair,
he looks super clean cut. I didn't pick him for the multiple tattoo kind of guy.
He's in finance, so they're like hidden.
Okay.
But he's starting to get a sleeve down here a little more now, so he's getting risky.
Whoa, he is.
He is, but still none for me. So,
John
or the boys though. To be fair, he doesn't have. He's like he's got all nature. It's like a big oak tree. He's very biblical with his tattoos.
I love it. You know, I love that.
He's just got so much. Weirdly, he's like the creative of the family. I'm not. But
wow, but nothing for you.
Nothing for me. He does, in his defense, if he listened to this, he'd be like, Audrey, in his defense, the next one he wants to get is supposed to be for me, but I don't like it, so we're not settled on it. He wants to get like a lioness or something on his chest right here. I was like, no, that's so corny.
Is it? I don't know. That's pretty cool. I can see you as a lioness. Yeah. You're a lioness type.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Pride Rock fighting off the hyenas.
He's not going to get like small ones like I have. Like he's going to get like, it's going to be the biggest thing across his body. Okay. That's dramatic, but it's going to like his smallest one is probably that big.
Oh, wow. That's a big tattoo.
That's his smallest one.
Yeah.
So
it's good podcasting too.
Wow.
All right. I said this was a sporty episode because we are recording this in April. You're probably going to listen to this in April, and it's the height. We just finished March Madness, and I got to tell you, Caitlin Clark sweeping the nation. I don't know how familiar you are with Caitlin Clark, and have you been following her story, Lim?
I just know about her. I haven't actually seen her a full game.
It's very rarely. Now, I'm a sports fan. I've been a sports fan my entire life, and especially basketball. I'm a basketball nerd. I'm a basketball junkie, probably too much so. But I have just been infatuated, and it's one of those things where there are certain athletes who come along in moments that really transcend sport. It's the kind of thing where it's like sports fans are knowing who this person is. And I think Caitlin Clark is on a very short list. You know, it's like Tiger Woods in the late 90s with golf, Wayne Gretzky in the 80s with hockey, Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan. These moments when they splash on the scene, it's like, wow, they are changing the sport. Because today we're going to talk about transformational leadership. And I don't think that you have to transform your industry to be a transformational leader. But I like this idea of actual change. Like if you're going to say, I'm a transformational leader, or we want to be transformational in our leadership, what are we changing? What are we transforming? And so, Anj, you following Caitlin Clark? I know you're a sports fan, but not a huge basketball fan. So
not as much into basketball.
Where do you land on women's basketball right now?
Right now?
Following her. Yeah, what's going on?
Okay, raving fan would have been a stretch, but I was I watched pretty much after they won the Big Ten.
Oh, wow. Okay,
I was watching from there.
Wow. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yep. I have a friend who's like obsessed though, so I didn't have I don't know if I had a choice to become obsessed, like took over her whole life.
Okay, I got you.
But I did start actually I was like, oh, they actually are like pretty good. And it really wasn't only for Caitlin Clark. I'm actually a little bit more of an LSU fan.
Really? Angel Reese?
I love
You like Angel Reese?
I do. I'm a big Angel Reese fan.
Angel Reese could just beat the fire out of me. So I'm scared of Angel
I
Reese.
know.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
know.
She makes me nervous.
Yeah.
She just beat me up.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark could probably beat me up too. But
Angel's like a baller.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I mean,
totally.
Caitlin is.
Well, what's cool is, but what's the, and I'm sorry, this is where I'm saying I'm not an avid fan, but the young lady from.
Paige.
Not Paige. She's South Carolina.
No, Paige is UConn.
No, Paige is UConn.
Yeah.
What's her, Juju?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Sorry, I watched her play. Anyway, there's like, what my point is, what's cool, and what I like about this is we talk about leadership here.
Yeah.
And what's cool, and I think you're going to see over the next 10 years, is this can go on this is the macro level. I mean, we're talking, this is a national game, and this is about to be a professional league with the WNBA when they enter. But it starts with 1 and then 2 and then 3. There's a whole crop of these young ladies. Caitlin Clark is the headliner because she broke the all-time record and all those types of things. But 10 years from now, you're going to, or not even 10, 5, 6 years from now, girls who right now are 13 and 14 are watching these women play and emulating their game. And it's like what we saw with Steph Curry in the 3-point revolution. You're going to see the same thing. So I think women's basketball over the next 10 years is just going to really explode. I mean, I think it's going to be, from a pure basketball standpoint, it's a better product than the men's game right now. I mean, it's just from a
crazy.
Oh man, if
Really?
It was way more entertaining.
if you like watching good basketball, I mean, their fundamentals are cleaner. They shoot better.
Yep.
They play just as hard, just as fast, but they play smarter.
I actually
you know,
think I think the girls play faster than the guys.
Y'all are the first people I've ever heard say this. So
now
I'm
they,
interested.
they don't
recently.
play faster. Like if you just lined them up and said who's playing a faster
No, like
version,
the game
I don't want to get
goes
crazy.
faster.
That's different.
Yeah, I'm
you're
not trying
enjoying
to
it
say
more.
they sprint more.
Well, that's because
no, I didn't mean like
well,
that.
that's because they foul less, and when they do foul, they hit their free throws. Like the game goes faster.
Yes.
but it's because they're playing a smarter brand of basketball.
Well, maybe that's why I'm just thinking
I
More
would
cautious.
I more so mean like I always
Smarter.
feel like they move more, but it's probably because they do foul less.
No, yeah, they do foul. But now I'm getting really nerdy on basketball, and this is not a basketball podcast.
Wow.
But
I don't watch
you're
enough
seeing,
to know.
Well, there's less isolation. You're seeing ball movement, and that's why I say if you like just watching basketball, there's more ball movement, there's more team action.
Sure.
The
yep.
men's game is a lot of like, here, you get the ball, you dribble and shoot.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm going to stand here and watch.
That's true. Yes.
That's what
Yes.
you're seeing. You're seeing
Yeah.
ball movement, which I love.
A lot more.
A lot more.
A lot more.
That's what I'm
Wow.
saying. From a pure basketball standpoint, the women's game is awesome right now. That being said, there have been 2 instances over the last few weeks that I wanted to shout out. This is the Good Leader podcast and where I saw good leadership. Let's start. It's with Coach Dawn Staley. Now, she's the coach for South Carolina. They actually won the national championship, beat the Iowa Hawkeyes in the national championships and went undefeated, as a matter of fact.
It's pretty crazy.
But I just thought it was awesome. Did you see that game? And are you a Dawn Staley?
I did. Big Dawn Staley fan. And yes, I
is
saw
it
that
Stanley
game.
or Staley? I think it's Dawn Stanley.
I thought it was Staley, but maybe
I could be
not.
wrong. I could be wrong. It's Dawn. We're definitely wrong.
I wouldn't
it's
put
definitely
money
Dawn.
on it.
Well, I'm going to be honest. here.
Staley.
It's Staley. All right, thank you. All right, great. Oh, so I said it right the first time. I was
Yeah,
second
the first
myself.
time, yeah.
Okay, Dawn Staley is a gem. She is what I really. Man, she's really not afraid to speak her mind, which I think is a leadership lesson in and of itself. But she did a great job in her acceptance speech. And I'm just paraphrasing. I didn't research this. This is just I watched it live and took some notes for the podcast because I was like, "Ooh, I want to shout that out. That's cool." after the game. Did you see this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Shout out Caitlin?
Yes,
Yeah.
when she shouted out Caitlin. I just thought that was great. Did you
Carrying
think that was
oh,
great?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She got a little bit of flack for it, but I was like, that's ridiculous.
I don't know. I mean, people are going to find.
I know. It just shows people are going to find trouble. But I thought it was
Anything.
awesome how she just acknowledged the weight that young lady had carried, the attention she brought to their game, the dignity that she played with, the class. Because what I like about it is Caitlin Clark's, she's not like a dirty player, but she's mouthy. Like last year, her and Angel Reese got into it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're mouthy. They're going at it. They are really all of their competitors.
Yeah.
But I just thought Coach Dawn Staley giving her I just thought of, we mentioned a lot, but I thought of like Simon Sinek's Infinite Game and thinking of a worthy rival that you are my rival, but I want you to succeed because your success lifts our sport.
Right.
Your success lifts this up, lifts us up. And so I thought that was really, really incredible. Any thoughts on any of that then? Anj, you watched? Did anything that you noticed at any moment that just the leadership lessons I saw in some of this was really cool?
Yeah, no, I loved it all. One of my favorite, when I was following the Hawkeyes more in like the middle of the season, I loved an interview Caitlin was talking about with her coach, and she was talking about how she'll basically let her plays as herself. She'll let her take the crazy shots. She'll let her try and hit the crazy things, make the wild passes, like doesn't try to like tame the way she plays.
Ooh.
And that has made her in and of herself such a better player and leader because she lets her be herself when she plays, not making her someone else. And that part, and I can't remember what interview that was that I listened to her talk about that, but I just thought, man, that is pretty transformational with leadership too, because it's very easy to want people to lead the way you do or the way you think they should or the way that you've seen success look. But I mean, 2 years ago, success did not look like playing how Caitlin Clark's played this season. They were not hitting some of those shots that she's throwing now. And that's even more and more getting common. I guess I probably started watching because of Caitlin Clark, but I didn't know who Angel Reese was before I knew who Caitlin Clark was. So, I mean, just opened a lot of doors to a lot of different things and watching the way that they play. But it's really more the coaches that I've loved the most kind of through this whole process too, alongside the players. But I just think they've done a great job.
Yeah, and some of the leadership lessons that we can evoke from this. One, I've just seen, especially like from Coach Dawn, humility was just phenomenal. I mean, because you could tell she just presents so well with confidence, with humility. Yep. You know, it's like she definitely is there to win. She knows she's good. She knows her team is good. Yep. But she just walks with humility. I liked her. She was in an interview and just spoke with some really a couple of, well, it was the week of leading up to, and just shared just some good vulnerability. Even I liked how, from a leadership lesson to me, and as we transition here, I just thought, just sometimes calling things out is just so profound. Like, you know, just the simple act, like she was in it. She said, well, I know you're trying to bait me into this question, and I'm going to answer, even though it will be a distraction for my team, but I feel it's important for me to answer. And I know what you're doing, and it's okay. After this, I will work with my team to overcome the distraction, but I know this could become a distraction. I just thought, you know what I'm saying? Something simple, like, instead of playing the head game of like, okay, should I answer? Should I not answer? It's like, I'm going to answer your question, even though I know I'm creating a potential distraction. But by calling it out, it makes it not a distraction. You know? And I just think some things like that. So if you're looking for leadership lessons within this, I encourage you. I just think we hear so often some of the negative stories that if you look, not just for the positive stories for positivity, but like observe these strong leaders when you go, wow, I like the way she answered that. I like the way she's handling herself in this interview. Yep. Because I think it is transformational, and what they're doing with the game is becoming transformational in front of us. So speaking of that, we got a game today. And Anj, you've got the list for us, right? Because I don't know the list, but I did want to play. And so before we go to break, Lim and I, we're going to be on a team, right, Lim? Is that the setup, Anj? What's the official list you've got here? What's the list?
On a team, or are we going head to head?
I don't know. What's your pick, big boy? What do you want to do here?
Ooh.
I'll let you decide. I'm usually the host of the game, but now I'm going to be a participant.
I think you're going to crush me, though. So we should probably be on the same team.
No, come on, Lim.
Okay.
Where's your confidence? I'm not going to crush you. I don't know the list.
All right, I'll do it.
I mean, I know the list is about the NBA. I know that. But I haven't studied. I don't know the answers.
Let's go head to head.
Head to head. Let's do this.
Yep.
All right.
I have my little notes.
Okay.
Can you see? Are you cheating?
No, I'm not cheating. I don't need to cheat.
Of the confidence.
Did you hear that? Yeah, he heard that. What's the category though?
Oh, okay. So the category is
you gotta tell us what we're guessing.
Greatest NBA shooter of all times. Of all time.
All times.
Wait, like shooter
All-time
or like score?
shooters?
Shooter or like scores? Like
Great question. Scorer.
Score. Like they have scored the most points.
This is scorer. Yeah.
Like, okay.
Great question.
Then okay. All right. Then yeah,
Great
I do know
clarifier.
some of these. All right, let's go.
Greatest or
yeah, because shooter is
most scoring?
most scoring. Points. Points.
It is by points.
Because that's tangible.
we're looking
that's
at
tangible.
We're
can
looking
look
at a
yeah, okay.
points.
All right, like
system
all-time
here.
points. All-time points.
Gotcha.
But all time.
I'll let you go first. I mean, I think I know who the number one person is.
Is this like
I'll let you go first.
we're getting the top 10? Does it have to be in order?
Nah. No. Just get.
you guys-
you don't have to be in order. Just get
Ideally,
someone.
you hit more than he does.
Okay. Are we just going until we can't?
Yeah, let's just go back and forth till we can't till we mess up.
Lem
right.
wants a lot of the rules,
I'm
Jared.
need the
sorry.
rules.
And
Give him
you know
the
what? I'm sorry. I'm
rules.
not the host. What am I doing? Anj,
because-
you're the host. What am I doing? I'm just sitting over here. I should
The
just be
rules will
quiet.
determine my strategy. So
Go ahead, Anj. Make the rules as you get.
We're
make the rules.
gonna
I'm outta
we're
here.
gonna go till they're all hit or I say stop.
okay.
It's my game, so I'm gonna just decide when I want to decide.
Okay. I like
And
this.
we're gonna go back and forth,
And whoever just has the most.
and whoever has the most at the end is the winner.
All right.
If you guessed it, but they weren't on the top 10, it doesn't count. Like
Okay.
if they're number 11, it doesn't count.
Great.
Okay.
Makes sense. It's their number 11. Doesn't count. Makes sense. I like
I
this.
feel like I need to say that.
We got some music. I need the music. It
see
fires me
what
up.
we
Puts
got.
me in a game
See
mood.
what
I'm
we
ready.
got.
I feel good about this list. I'm brainstorming some stuff. I'm feeling good.
I bet.
All right.
All right. So Jared or Lem, Jared gave you first pick.
Yeah, he can go first.
All right. I'm going to go Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain.
Will
That
Chamberlain. I don't know if
is-
he's in the top 10.
Correct.
Oh, nice. Point for
Come
Lim.
on.
I would have missed that one. LeBron James. He just took it over like last year.
That is correct.
LeBron James.
Yes.
Will Chamberlain's a good answer.
Michael Jordan.
Good answer. Good answer. Number
That is
4.
correct.
Oh, ooh, now that's some music right there, Lim. Now you're firing me up. Let me go with who's he gonna know? I'm trying to think of guys he might not know. I'm gonna go with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That is correct.
Ooh, 2-2. It's a good game.
I'm going to go Magic Johnson.
No, come on, give me a no. Give me a no. Give me a no.
He doesn't have another name, does he?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, Irvin Magic Johnson.
Yeah, no.
I don't think so.
No.
All right, I'm gonna go with Carl the Mailman Malone. He's gonna be up there very top of the list.
That is correct.
Yes.
You got it, Lem. There's a couple of big hitters here.
Man, I'm going to go Larry Bird. I'm hesitant, but
I don't think
All time.
yeah,
All time.
I know.
Come back to me.
No.
Come back to me.
I
Is it
know.
my turn? Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's got to go back to you.
I think Kobe's in the top 10.
yeah,
Kobe
he
Bryant.
is.
Yeah.
He is.
Is? Yes.
We're,
Ooh, okay, we
all
got
right,
6. We got 6 out of 10.
We do, and it's 4-3. Jared to Lem, or 4-2. Jared to
4-2.
Lem.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you.
You can easily catch up here. I'm still rooting for you. You got
I'm
one?
forgetting players' names.
Okay.
Oh,
No
my
problem.
goodness. I can't think of a. I'm on the spot. Okay, I'm gonna have to skip. I can't think of a name.
Skip, Jared.
Okay, now it's getting hard. I will say now it's getting. I've got several names in my head. Is Dirk Nowitzki in the top 10? Dirk.
Yes,
Yes.
he is.
I'm gonna say
Dirk.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
You're saying great players, by the way.
I know.
These are really good players.
They're Hall
These
of
are
Fame
good.
players, but yeah.
And we've got,
They are, but you're
we got
just
7.
missing them.
All right,
know.
I got another. Is Shaquille O'Neal in the top 10?
Yes.
That
There's a
surprised
couple
me.
really
That
big ones,
surprised me.
like-
Shaquille, well, she said big names, and when she said big names, I was like, okay.
Like I would know
I
these.
bet Shaquille O'Neal's a
I
big
know
name.
these two people.
That's when I thought of Kobe. When
me
you said
go-
there's some big names, I was like, oh, that's
How many do
Kobe.
we have left? 3?
2.
3. I mean 2.
2.
That's all right. She's a
Got
woman.
it.
EWO.
I'm gonna
listen
go,
to the ladies.
I'm gonna go Tim Duncan.
Oh, great answer.
He is number 16.
Okay.
If it makes you feel
I know
better.
I'm right there.
You
Too
are.
bad. Too bad. She specifically said you would not get points for that. I'm gonna go with Kevin Durant.
Yep.
Really?
That's the one.
I didn't
Well, there's one
realize
more.
he was
There's
already
one
up there.
more.
He just got into it. I recently heard
Yeah.
like he got in the top 10 within
Yeah.
like the last month.
Okay, did we say Bill Russell?
No, he's
No.
definitely not on the list.
He's not?
He didn't
No,
score.
we have one more
We
left.
have one more.
Yeah, but think of where I'm,
running
from.
out. Carmelo.
Carmelo.
Yeah, number 10.
Man.
He's number 10. This is specifically sponsored by NBA.com. So I feel
So-
like
That's a good list.
on this day,
As
So-
someone
this
who won
time-
8-2, I feel like it was a good list.
I feel like I need to clarify. I would have picked Karl Malone. I would have picked, who'd you say?
So you would have picked who Jared picked.
Yeah. I would have said those. Just to
I took them early.
So everyone knows. I know that.
I will say you did.
Oh, you would have said
look
it. Okay.
you look like you knew Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah, I would have
Kareem.
said him.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, LeBron James. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job, buddy. That was fun. That was good. We got all 10. I'm surprised we got all 10.
Well, you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
We
all
did.
right.
Jared did. I don't know.
Jared did. I got two.
Hey, that was fun. When we get back, we're going to talk about transformational leadership. Those scores totally transformed the game. Caitlin Clark transformed the game. Don Staley transforming the game. And you can transform the game in your organization right after this break.
Guys, do you want to elevate your conversations? You can create meaningful connections and engaging conversations. If you go to ps.company/store, I just want to highlight Medium Talk cards. They offer a fun and effective way to achieve these goals by elevating your interactions beyond small talk. You can find those at ps.company/store, among other things that we sell here at Paradigm Shift.
Dynamite commercial.
Good stuff.
Wow, Jess is on vacation. You know what? We got a deep bench. Lim steps up. That was good. Medium Talk cards.
I
That
will
sounds fun.
say, I was nervous about it. This is my first commercial ever.
Wow. Well, you nailed it. You
Thanks.
did a
Great
great
job.
job.
Thanks.
You did.
You did a phenomenal job. Thank you
I
very
want
much.
to buy them now.
I do. Medium Talk cards are great. Not deep, but not small talk.
Nope.
Medium talk. It's exactly why they are. Hey, today we're going to talk about transformational leadership. And I came across this. You out there listening may have heard of this. Anj, Lim, you may have heard of this. You can let me know if you have or haven't. But it's the 4 I's of transformational leadership. Have you guys heard of that? I know we shared it in the pre-production meeting, but
That was the first time I've
that was
heard
the first time. Well, and Anj, how about you? Is this something you're
supposed
deeply
to be,
familiar with?
Is it supposed to be a play on like the term 4 eyes? Because that's honestly what I thought. I was like, is somebody
You know
trying
what?
to make like a cute,
I don't think so.
It's memorable.
But that's hilarious.
It makes it memorable.
like
I don't
I
think
can
so.
see through the 4 eyes?
It's the 4 elements of transformational leadership. I don't think that was their play, but I was doing some research
missed opportunity.
for a conference, and the theme was specifically on transformational leadership, and I was asked to present. And in doing this research, I came across this information. I was like, wow, this is really interesting stuff. So I just want to give an overview for everyone listening out there and get our thoughts. And what I'd love for us at the podcast to do is think about, when have we seen these best? Now, maybe we haven't seen all of them. I will say they're pretty grandiose ideas. It makes me want to research more. But it was first introduced by a gentleman named James McGregor Burns in his 1978 book, aptly titled Leadership. So his book, 1978 book called
Original.
Leadership, is what introduced these 4 I's. Take that, 4 I's. And then a kind of a scholar / contemporary of his, Bernard M. Bass, expanded upon that idea in the 1980s on transformational leadership. Now, at this point, what's cool is we've come to the place where sometimes I think we can hear, especially if you're listening to the Good Leader podcast, you're probably listening to podcasts, books, audiobooks, and you get a lot of the same kind of jargon, you know?
Yep.
And so it can feel like, okay, transformational leadership, servant leadership, whatever leadership, it's kind of like one and the same, right? What are we talking about? But we're talking about in the 1970s when they were specifically trying to identify transformational leadership versus transactional leadership. And that actually helped give me some more levity for this. Instead of just thinking like, okay, this is another way to think about it. This is another list. Because at this point, we've seen a lot. But taking the original source text and comparing, are you a transformational leader or are you a more transactional leader, I think is a relevant, healthy question today.
Yep.
Because I think for many of us in our worst moments, and I have a quick litmus test for this. This is not from the research. This is just out of my brain thinking about this idea, is how quickly do you default to, it's your job. You should just do this. You're paid to do this. That's transactional leadership. You're relying on the transaction of a paycheck to impose your influence. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, people are getting paid to do a job. So that's not terrible that, I'm going to do the job I'm paid for. But as far as a leader goes, the quicker I default, it's almost like a parent saying, because I said so. Well, we all pretty much agree like, wow, okay, that's kind of the worst argument you come up with, Dad. Yes, it is true. You are dad because you say so, but that's the best reasoning you can give. Like that's your... So as a leader, how quickly do I get frustrated and get to the point of like, just do it because it's your job? Or how quickly do I default to because I said so?
Yep.
That's transactional leadership.
Yeah.
So I think I just want to throw that in there before I give these 4 I's, because I think when you hear the 4 I's, you go, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I try to do those things. But how closer are you to that versus the transactional? Here are the 4 I's. I'm going to go through them quickly and then the definitions. Idealized influence, intellectual stimulation, inspirational motivation, individualized consideration. So some quick definitions for these. Idealized influence refers to the way in which transformational leaders exert their influence within a group. This is tied to vision, direction, goal setting. These leaders who have high idealized influence are deeply respected by their team due to the example that they set for others. They provide a clear sense of belonging and vision, which encourages individuals to buy into the long-term objectives of the organization and drives them to achieve their own goals. You can think of this often as like, man, that's a powerful role model. Okay, number 2, intellectual stimulation. These are leaders who create a diverse and open environment where they encourage others to innovate and form new ideas for the organization and themselves. So this, I thought of this as almost having the confidence and security to encourage free thinking. You know, like a transformational leader is not challenged by intellectual stimulation. It's they don't just want drones or robots. They seek other paths to goals which stray from the norm and openly push others to challenge their own beliefs and values as well as those of the company. So this is that's a fascinating one to me. Okay, number 3, inspirational motivation. These individuals, or this trait, is an important role in improving performance by working to raise team morale through motivational techniques and acting as inspiration for their followers. These individuals are happy to communicate their high expectations to individual followers and motivate them on a singular level to gain commitment to a shared organizational or team belief. When the individual is committed to organizational goals, it intrinsically encourages them to work harder and to reach these objectives. This is often thought of as the word charisma. If we were to try to, well, what is this in a term? This is almost like the classic charisma element, you know, like, wow, I think of galvanizing, to use some other context that we use, like someone who it's like, you know, maybe influencing, galvanizing, but it's like, wow, that person just won me over. Their charisma, their charm, almost the most stereotypical part of classic leadership is how I'm reading it. And lastly, individualized consideration. Transformational leaders actively work to create a diverse environment and supportive environment where individual differences are respected and celebrated. This item is why I specifically wanted to point out this was written in the 70s and compare it to transactional leadership. Because I think there's enough written at this point that we can come up with like, yeah, shouldn't good leaders, once again, if you're listening to the Good Leader podcast, yeah, of course we consider individual needs. Well, maybe not as much 50 years ago. And especially when you are defaulting to transactional leadership, this one may abandon you pretty quickly. But getting back to it, transformational leaders who embody individualized consideration know each of their followers individually and will happily listen to any concerns or needs that their team members may have. They will act as mentors, coaches for team members. They will advocate on their behalf, working to develop, empower, and inspire them to achieve more and to be more.
It's a good list.
It's a good list, right? I liked it. And it's obviously very lofty. Like that's a high bar.
Yeah.
But I like it's a high bar because it's transformational leadership. This is not, you know, I'm doing a pretty decent job. This is transformational leadership, really changing some important things. And in the next future episode, I want to share a story from Steph Curry. This was the basketball episode, but I'll share it on a future episode because he just had a master class in, to me, leadership. Draymond Green got suspended, or not suspended, he got ejected from a game. And in an interview afterwards, Steph Curry was phenomenal. And so I'll share that on a future episode. But what are your thoughts when you hear that list, those 4? What sticks out to you? I would say, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but they're all really good.
Yeah.
What sticks out to you? Have you seen some of this in your leadership, in some of your experiences?
I was pinpointing where we all fall as you were going through the list. But I was changing my mind a lot.
Okay.
Okay. I think of someone and I was like, oh, actually, which granted, you can have more than one. Like you may walk into today. I'm assuming you can have more than one. You may walk in today.
Well, in fact, can we pause there?
Yeah.
Let's just take a side note to clarify here. I think transformational leadership embodies all 4. So it's not like, you know, I think the premise of I think the literature is these are 4 characteristics of transformational leadership, or the 4 characteristics.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I think that it's tough to carry all 4 in even weight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
feel
saying? Like, I
in
mean, like
different
that
seasons,
in
yeah.
different seasons, different ways.
Depends on the
Or just different
the
days.
sphere you're in as well.
But yeah, and maybe the moment, but it's like some combination, you know, I mean, the alchemy of leadership here, some combination of these four things is what's going to transform your organization, transform individuals. So yeah, I do think that we might naturally lean towards some, but it's not like, oh, I'm that one and not those other three, or I'm only going to be this one and forget the other three. Because I don't think you can do that. I don't think you say like, you know what, I'm going to be the inspirational, motivational person and forget the other three.
Yeah.
And still be a transformational leader. It's like, no. All four of these, you got to have them somewhere. So anyway, back to what you were saying.
Well, my mind just went to, I at first thought like, man, I wonder how my team would rate me on these. And then I was just thinking, of course, my mind went to an activity out of this, but I was like, man, I almost want my team to, I mean, my direct report team to rate themselves in this, you know, which one, ideally you're using all four, but what do you use the most versus what do you use the least? Things like that. Good. And then I would almost want to do it for them and see, I think you could really see some blind spots in that.
Yeah, that's a great activity.
You know, like since that we always pick on her, if I made Lindsay or do this for herself or sort it by your leadership, and then I did it for her, I'm just kind of curious how similar ours would be or how different it would be for her and for me too. Like how would I sort these for myself, and would the people I lead agree with that or not?
Definitely. So, that's good stuff.
It's a good little blind spot check.
My mind went to thinking, okay, I can think of a specific person that either I've been around or who's been a leader that I've seen, a different person for each one. But I can't think of a person that I have been led by or know of that I feel like has embodied all of those. And I don't mean that to sound like a downer, but just reiterating how lofty these are.
No, these are pretty high bar.
But I've seen, even if someone does one very excellently, how well and how effective they can lead their organization.
Yeah.
So that's just where my mind went.
Yeah, I could see that.
So is there a moment in those, do you have a moment that you've experienced either in your own leadership or others where you would say, okay, this is really an example of one of these four that are standing out in any of these contexts, or, you know, a moment where you saw some of this? Like I'll share one, or do you have one, Anj?
I was just going to say, I think I'm challenged by, without knowing the language, I feel challenged by all four on what I need to bring when, if that makes sense. So even recently, like with our own team, if you're asking for an example, I think there was a time that we were doing, it was actually a lot of intellectual stimulation, I would say. Like we're doing all this critical thinking. Everyone's bringing ideas to the table. Some of them aren't the right ideas. Some of them aren't being heard, things like that. And I think I even have to find within myself, okay, at what point it's not a different day. It's okay, I need to switch from I'm bringing the intellectual stimulation in this brainstorm and bring it back to the inspirational motivation. Why are we doing this? What was the goal? What was the motive? How are we getting here? And then obviously like considering all parties, I guess I'm just realizing how quickly, and maybe that's why it is what you're saying, Lem, where it's like, oh, I've never seen all four in someone, because I don't think in a single moment somebody does all four.
That makes sense.
But I think I can think of like a full meeting where I would like to hope and think I had to work through all four in order to try and lead that well, or maybe three, maybe two out of the three, something like that. But I think I'm just realizing, even as you're asking for an example, I'm like, oh, I would have called that intellectual stimulation, but I actually then moved kind of to the inspirational motivation. And then we talked about a lot about and considering others. And I think I'm just realizing how much they all connect a little bit too, and very, very passing, very fleeting.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of one story from when COVID hit.
Oh yeah.
And I think that I demonstrated inspirational motivation in that season. And the reason that I say that is because it's interesting. I was just considering this as you're talking, because I'm like, well, yeah, we kind of had to oscillate between some of these. It was definitely intellectual stimulation. We're trying to pivot and think of how we're doing this. Individual consideration of who needs what on the team and those sorts of things. But I remember, I came up with this campaign that we used for about 4 months, I guess, or 5 months during that stretch. And it was simple, but it was "We will win." And with the theme here. But it was like, I just chose that I feel like what we need is we're just going to keep looking up to be, almost stereotypical with it. But like, what are we going, we will win. Like we're in the dredges every single day, working hard, figuring it out, working from home, all those types of things. But it was like, We will win. We will win.
Yeah.
We will win. And I feel like I brought that because there's also this joke that's now become a joke. But I would go to the sales team because our answer in March of 2020 when COVID hit, we created an entirely new curriculum in 5 weeks. I was really proud of the team. I mean, we went to work and worked 20-hour days for 5 weeks, cranking out an entire new curriculum based on what the world was going through then.
Yeah.
And so for our students, because the way we looked at it is at the time, especially, we were serving low-income first-generation students, and we knew statistically 70% of those students did not have consistent access to online means. So that means if we're just going to do a Zoom call, well, 70% of our kids that we're trying to reach or they're trying to help may or may not be able to be on there. It doesn't mean that they don't have the internet, but it might be like, oh, they're in a rural area and they've got their parent's phone and it comes in and out. You know what I'm saying? Consistent, strong internet. So many of our competitors were just saying, well, we're going to offer our camps via Zoom. And that was great. And schools went to Zoom, all those types of things. I'm not saying that was a bad answer, but we challenged ourselves and said we wanted a different answer. So that's the intellectual stimulation part and free thinking, come up with ideas. But once we had that answer and we turned that around, I went to the sales team as their, well, now we have this product. We've got to deliver this product and sell this product and let people know it's there. And completely honestly, because we still got to pay our bills, we're an event-based company, and all of a sudden we've gone from 150 events on the calendar to 0 events on the calendar.
Yep.
So we have no money. So we created this curriculum, which met the need, and I went to the team and we pushed hard for about 3 weeks of sales, and then I distinctly remember it was about the first week of May. No, last week of April, and first week of May. And I said, hey, I know you've been working hard. And I think we just need one more push to our contacts and our previous clients to get this out there. And then everybody will probably be situated for the summer and we'll be done. So one more push. I know you've been working hard. One more push. Okay, the next week I came back and I didn't intentionally do it, but I was like, okay, one more push because we're still getting requests. It still feels like people aren't sure what they're doing. There's still people out there figuring out their budgets and figuring out how to reach these students. One more push. The next week, one more push. The next week. And I ended up saying one more push for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But the reason that our team stayed in it is because of that we will win mentality, that inspirational motivation. It was almost like, hey, we're keeping this big. So sometimes, as cheesy as it is, and that's why I liked on this transformational leadership, is like, wow, that was needed.
Yeah.
that just this lofty idea to like, okay, I am motivated by the fact that we will win. We will win. We will win. So and I like this framework. We'll reinvestigate this another day, but Lemuel, any last thoughts here on where you've seen this or which speaks to you or, where you've seen some of these?
To me, the one that's the most curious is intellectual stimulation. I like how that's worded because I've actually seen a lot of the opposite. I don't know if y'all remember, I don't know if it was 6 months ago, I brought up a quote from a leader that will go unnamed. He said,
I do remember this.
Hire doers, not thinkers.
Yes.
And
yes.
I hated that quote.
Oh, I remember.
So I love that this is on the list. That
That's a pretty bad quote.
I remember that.
Anyways.
That's a bad quote.
Well, I remember because we were talking about this is like a Nazi regime or something.
Yeah. That was my comment that I ended up taking down.
Don't think, do. Yeah, you're the one who. That's Okay. Well, I agree, and I really liked in some of the literature and the articles that I was reading that intellectual stimulation is not just hard work; it's the stimulation, it's thinking, and it's not just like it's not just problem solving; it's allowing yourself as a leader to be challenged. That's easier said than done.
You mean, are you saying when you lead your team to be intellectually stimulated, you're going to be challenged?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the whole point. I think I'm creating an environment. If transformational leaders, the way that I understand the writing, transformational leaders create an environment of intellectual stimulation. A key area of that, or a key characteristic of an intellectually stimulated environment, is a willingness from the leader to be openly challenged on their ideas. So in other words, if I say, hey, we need to do this, we need to do ABC. A transformational leader is willing to hear, I think we need to do XYZ.
Yep.
And it's not shut down, It's not shut down.
Yeah.
It's actually encouraged.
It just reminds me of that quote. I mean, gosh, I don't know. I heard it years ago, but it was like, just because you're the leader doesn't mean you're the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that when I was in like high school, and I guess it just always stuck with me because I've always known I'm not the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Like I'm really not. I might be able to outsmart you in a verbal spar, but that does not mean I'm the smartest person in the room by far. Like you put Kyle next to each other, my gosh, it's so smart. But it doesn't, I think I just learned early on, but that isn't necessarily the quality to lead either. Yeah. But if that's true, then you can't take on that you can't always be right. You can't take on that mantle either. I think that's the hardest part. It's such a cute saying, but I definitely think that is the harder part of the intellectual stimulation. Because if you are provoking that, you're also saying, I'm not the smartest person in the room. There might be an idea better than mine.
Absolutely.
You can't have both though. You can't assume you're the smartest in the room and have genuine, or I don't think you can have genuine intellectual stimulation and think you're the smartest one in the room.
I got a practical question. So I would just anticipate, because I think this way, leaders out there who are looking at this list and like, I can't do 2 or 3. I can maybe do one of these really well. Can each of these be outsourced? Meaning,
talk about
like
that, yeah.
As a leader, I realize my team needs to be intellectually stimulated, but I can't do it. So I'm gonna, delegate it or bring someone in. What are y'all's thoughts?
You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You go first.
I actually think no.
Okay.
But here's why. Because I don't think that the way, and it might just be my perception of this list, is that when I read the list and read some of the writing and think about it, it's like kind of like what Anj said. Like she's saying, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Furthermore, I don't need to be the smartest person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Well, intellectual stimulation then is not necessarily about, we need to bring this today, as much as it is this willingness to be challenged, a willingness to be open. So in other words, I think it's almost like saying, can I delegate my humility? I'd really like to delegate. I'd like to delegate my vulnerability.
Gotcha.
Well, okay, that's not kind of the way humility works. That's not the way vulnerability works.
So these are supposed to be seen as closer to the character and core of a person.
That's how I'm interpreting it.
Okay.
Now, I could be wrong about that. Now, I do think that delegating certain tasks, responsibilities, other areas of your organization show the trait. So in other words, I can delegate leading meetings because I know I can come off as being overbearing. I will speak this for me. I can come off as a know-it-all. So, and I certainly don't like, sorry, let me rephrase this.
You do know a lot.
Did we get that on,
Thank you, Lemon.
on film? Don't delete that.
I like being the smartest person in the room.
I know.
Now, hold on.
I know you do.
I do.
You fight the urge well, though.
Thank you. That I do. I do fight the urge.
Yeah.
And I purposefully try to not be the smartest person in the room, or I purposefully try to encourage. But if I'm around a group for a long enough time, people often will default to just give us the answer. Do you already have an answer you want us to do?
Yep.
If so, just give us the answer you want us to do. And I'm like, I do, but I'm also actively, and not just trying to be falsely modest, but I'm also like, I'm self-aware enough to know that there are probably better answers. I've just got to get those out of you. So what I delegate then is I may delegate leadership of meetings, leadership of oversight of a team, and I might not even show up, even though in my heart of hearts, I'm like, well, I think I probably have the best ideas. But that's not best for the team. You see what I'm saying, Lim? And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. I'm actually trying to show my weakness of being. But I think, and so I don't think you can delegate these 4, but I think you can lead in a way through delegation that gets the results.
That makes sense.
It's the character. That's my thought.
Even within the task of delegating, you're still exemplifying these.
I think so. Yes. Okay. And honestly, if you're one, and then we'll jump to you on Johnny. Yeah. If you're not delegating certain things, it's probably showing a lack of one of these 4. Like, I have to lead the meeting. Well, why? Yeah. Well, because I'm the boss. And I want everybody to know that I'm in charge. Well, okay, that's not very, idealized influence. Like you're not, okay, Well,
I was just thinking about when you were saying that, I think the whole idea of transformational leadership is if all of these are bringing us to action in some sense, I think I'm literally using you as an example, but I'm thinking you do typically have the right answer. It's often 6 months too soon. And we've talked about that a lot. I'm like, I'll be in meetings where someone will come with an idea, and in my head, I'm like, yeah, Jared, I mean, either we've talked about it or Jared said that at least 6 times. But if I really backtrack, I'm like, well, we weren't ready for it then. And I think transformational leadership is not just being able to say, I'm wrong, but being able to allow the team to not outpace themselves either. Because COVID changed all that. There was a world where we were way outpacing ourselves. All of us were.
Oh, yes.
Because we're trying to keep up with the times. So then, well, how do you bring that back to the point that we're not burning out? And the point, well, I think that's a little bit of transformational leadership is it can be the right answer, but it also needs to happen in the right time.
Yeah.
And I think that's really where you get the respect of the team.
Yeah. And then that feeds into individualized consideration.
Right.
Recognizing our team is not ready for that, or our team is not ready for that yet, or those sorts of things. So I really like that question, Lim, because it does challenge me to think, okay. But I the more we process this verbally, I do think you would think I'm thinking of these more as traits like humility or vulnerability, where it's like, I can't really outsource that, but I can exemplify that through my actions. And so maybe then, even if we say that probably helps us think of, oh, well, maybe I do hold all 4. I can hold all 4 more if I think of them as like honesty, integrity, vulnerability, humility. Oh, I'm holding all 4 of those things. I have to demonstrate one more than the other, depending on the situation.
Well, and I also think no matter what, everyone has a default. Like in reality, we can think of someone who I can think of someone who genuinely is more humble than me. For sure. I can think of a lot of people actually.
We all can.
Yeah, I know. I knew you were going to say something like that. It's not you though.
It's close. It's close.
We can all think of someone more humble than me. It doesn't mean I'm not, but I can think of someone more humble than me.
Great point. Yeah.
So even though I know I have individualized consideration, wow, well, Lindsay exemplifies individual consideration. Like she doesn't even need to think about it. All she does is breathe thinking about like how it's going to affect people. Ooh. And I love that. Or I don't.
No, this is great. I'm like, oh, no. Keep talking. I've got something.
I think I love it. So if I know that is so much more of her go-to than mine, it doesn't mean I'm not going to possess it, but I often go to Lindsay and say, how can I see it there? Yeah. How can I help me pull the humility out of myself? Help me pull the individualized consideration out of myself a little more, because you do it so well. It's so innate to you, right? And she needs that sometimes on other areas of that we'll talk about later.
Last hypothesis. I don't know if I mean this or if I back it up, but it's a great way to close out. You saying that makes me think then transformational leaders are those which hold all 4 in the best balance.
Sure.
That may be what actual transformational leadership is. We're talking about, well, can you have one? Maybe I do one better than the other. I can think of a lot of individuals that have one of these in spades.
Yep.
But the other 4, I'm like, okay.
Yep.
I don't know if you're really charming anybody, but you are considering everyone's needs a whole bunch. But I don't know if you're really going to rally the troops.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, wow, but the idea of transformational leadership is this embodiment of all 4 to then the highest degree possible.
Yep.
That could be what transformational leadership is and why it is so difficult and hard for us to find.
It is.
Transformational leadership is not easy, but I like where we landed there. Whatever it is, wherever you are, if you are really, really smart and need to find some different rooms, then find some different rooms. You know, if you are really, really great at commercials and just sitting on a hidden talent, go ahead and speak up. If you're over there being the most humble person in the room and you've got to tell everybody, you might want to question your process. Whatever it is, go out there and be a good leader.